I think we are going. Just going to turn my volume down so that this doesn't. Come on. There we go. Just don't want y'all to be able to hear an echo. Okay. Let's see if that works out. I'm going to see if I can get a friend on in here. All righty. Welcome to this live impromptu stitch along video. I'm going to be working on the latest pattern by Candi McCane, this cute little hummingbird. So I've got to pick my colors. I've got those all right here. And I've invited a member of the Stitch People community and Stitch People Club, Gemma, to come hang out. She's in the UK. So when we do evening stitch alongs, she doesn't always get to join. So I was like, hey, what if I did a stitch along video? Because I'm trying to do those more. And come hang out. And then I don't have to talk to myself, which is really, really cool. So we'll see how many guests I can invite into this room. I do have one viewer. So if, oh, there's Jem. Hello from the UK. So Gemma, if you want, you can just chat in the chat box, or I messaged you on Instagram with a link to join the call. See any guests waiting in the lobby? Okay, so this is where we're at for the stitch along. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I need one more, I think. I'm going to do 10. Yeah, because we'll have 5 rows of 10. Gemma, can you hear me okay? Let me know if you can hear me. I want to be able to make sure. Yeah, I guess about a week ago when I did my last YouTube. Turns out I was muted for a half an hour. Nobody said a word. So until a sweet soul did, thankfully, after half an hour. So I don't want that to happen again. I'm just going to fold over my fabric so I don't super squish the stitching there. Just more want to hold that in place. I've got painter's tape to just help keep the folds in place. Okay, plenty of room for that. I got my cute little pin cushion from Alice and the Bear, Giselle, Stitch People Ambassador. So loving that. It gives me vintage vibes, like a lava lamp with like that dark 70s oak. Oh, it's very echoey. How about that? Is that any better? Hi, Lynn. I can hear myself. I'm going to adjust my stitching camera. Forgive me for that. It's going to get a little wobbly. What if I do that? Switch my microphone sources. Let me know if that's any better for echoes. Okay. All righty, all righty. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Lynn. Oh, we have people watching. Yay. I figured I'd go live during the day today. We catch UK friends and see who else we get here in the middle of the day. Oh, good. Gemma said that fixed the microphone issue. Awesome, awesome. Cool. Well, I'm just going to try and sort through my colors quick here to get ready for stitching this cutie cute hummy. I have a little bit of black. It looks like we just need black for details. So I'm not too concerned about that. There's white for the hummingbird. Ooh, I like the 666. I don't know if I have it though, because I use it a lot and I might be out. 666 is just a really nice, like true red. Let's see. I've got my, got my color card. We'll see. I don't think I have 666, so I'll just see what's closest. 321 looks pretty close, and I think I saw 321. Perfect. 37.99. That looks like pink for the 37. Oh, 705. Not seeing 37.99. I may be blind. But it looks like it's just going to be the little like pink of its chest. Is that the word I'm looking for? So maybe like that. Sometimes I Google it. Oh, Amanda says, I didn't catch the last live, but watch later. So fun. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so sorry if they get boring. I get bored of myself, but thank you for watching. And yeah, we've got some fun things coming down the way. Yeah, I feel good about, I don't know. Maybe I want something a little more pink. I'm picturing like Flick from Pocahontas, the little hummingbird. And that's kind of what I'm wanting for a little pink. Okay, so I'm looking for $9.91. Okay. I found $9.92 really quick. I'm guessing $9.93. Oh, there's $9.91. So it's a little bit green. 501. Oh, that's close. My greens are kind of limited. That's closer. I think that's what I'm going to have to go with because I don't have very many saturated greens. I tend to do more muted color palettes when I do portraits. Okay, this one's more green, but it's more saturated. This one has some more blue, but it's less saturated. What to do? What direction to go? Or I could go, oh, I'll do that one. I'll do that one. It's just a little bit more saturated. Okay, yeah, there we go. Alrighty, and then 936 looks like a green. 936, kind of an olivey green. I have that one exactly. It's kind of a lighter version, kind of a greener version. Yeah, there we go. 3761. That looks like our blue. Here's 3766, 3768, 3760. So we're looking for a nice blue background. 3765, 3750. I'm sorry if I'm missing comments. I'm just getting my colors together real quick. 3761. I can't see it. Maybe I'm blind. 37. But I think if I choose something in this blue, medium blue arena, I think I should be okay. But I also want it to contrast nicely with the green of the, choose that for now. 727. Green of the bird is what I was going to say there. Oh, 727. What a pretty yellow. I think. $745, 727, 727. I have 726. I think I'll just choose that. Unless, is that looks a little too light. Alrighty. Got colors ready to go. And yeah, if anybody wants to hang out, I think I can invite you into my video room. You'd be like a third participant here. So let me know if you're interested. You also don't have to, no pressure. Alrighty, so I'm gonna start with the background. That's always kind of a safe bet. And we'll just get stitching. That DMC color chart, Gemma, is so helpful. It's a thread one, as I'm sure you could see. I think the printed card is pretty close, but obviously like the threaded one is going to be even closer. And the thing about it too is like, even that's not a super guarantee, because different batches of floss sometimes have like very minuscule differences in their dyes. So you got, it's good to try and stick to a skein for your whole project if you can, just for super consistency. But even still, the floss color chart is just really helpful. I use it all the time. Alrighty, so we're just going to go 14 across. We have 1, 2, 3 full rows of 14 across before I have to worry about much of anything else. So for those who are here, I'll just go over yesterday. We announced our spring fling. It was our first social media announcement of our spring fling coming up. It's going to be, so for those who aren't familiar with it, it'll be our 3rd annual spring fling. And it's a spring event that we have held for, this will be our 3rd one, last couple of years. And it's just instead of an in-person event, where in person, you buy a ticket and come, and there'd be like in-person classes and swag bag and all that fun stuff. It's essentially just like what an in-person event would be, but online. So there's going to be a ticket price. We're still working out what's exactly going to be part of the event, so we want to make sure that the price reflects what's included. But once we have all that sorted, we do have our days picked. It's going to be May 5th, 6th, and 7th. And then, yeah, we're going to have 3 days of classes for sure. I'm going to be teaching floral embroidery techniques. So for those of you who are beginners to embroidery, who don't know where to start, who want to ease in, that'll be a perfect class for you. We're going to be having resources and classes by our Stitch People ambassadors. Amanda's going to teach us how to do watercolor techniques on our Aida fabric, which will work great with the floral pattern that I'll be teaching from. And Giselle's going to teach us her extraordinary techniques for real hair for portraits. And Erica is going to give us her favorite Mac Stitch tips. We're going to have giveaways. We're going to have discounts. We're going to have free patterns for you. And you can watch it live, or we record the classes and you can watch the replay at any time. And we're doing it 3 days in a row. It's a Friday evening, Saturday morning, and Sunday morning. We wanted to try and do it at a time that was good for a lot of different people in a lot of different areas. So hopefully there's at least a little something for everyone. This floss is, it's a little bit, I'm getting to the end of the bobbin, so it's a little bit extra like kinked from being folded for so long. But anyway, yeah, we hope to have you at the spring fling. It'll be a lot of fun. This one's going to be just a lot of really useful classes. And last year we did like a 90s theme and it was like neon signs. This year's theme is springy. April showers bring May flowers. We had some feedback last year that people just wanted a spring theme. So that's what we're doing this year. Thought it'd be fun to mix it up last year, but I guess not. I don't know why this, there we go. It's like, I don't have half as many bunches in my floss as when I'm live. I tell you that. I tell you that for sure. Oh boy. Oh, Gemma, Thank you. Gemma thoroughly recommends the spring fling. I appreciate it. We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun for sure. There's going to be some special perks just for Stitch People Club members, just as an incentive there. And I think club members get an extra discount on event tickets anyway. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, thanks, Gemma. She says, love last year, and I'm sure I'll love this year too. That's so nice. It's always a fun, it really is a fun time because everybody's on at the same time and chatting and learning and working on the same stuff. And so people are posting, you know, online, and you get to see how other people's projects are coming along, and it's really fun. I have a good time. What else? What else? We just released a Jesus pattern. I have it right here for Easter. So we have this nice little Jesus pattern. We have the pattern in kind of plain squares and in symbols with a full color chart. So, and I have the flosses actually right here too. So this is our color palette for that. It's really, really serene and lovely, really pretty. So this is our latest pattern release you can check out. We have another pattern release today, tomorrow, one of these days. It's like an Easter garden party. So we sort of have a religious Easter. We're gonna have a non-religious Easter. It's like a little Easter egg hunt scene. And 9, 10, 11. Okay, I just need to make sure. But yeah, that Easter garden party pattern is going to be similarly formatted, full color recommendations, and that'll be out in the next day or two. Which is crazy to me. It's Easter time already. April 9th is Easter. It feels like an early Easter this year. Okay, I'm going to count one more time. I know I've counted this like 6 times, but you can never be too sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, I can rest assured. It's like if you can just get it right from the start, then, then it's smooth sailing. Maybe. It's a little smoother sailing anyway. Gemma says they already have April showers over in the UK. I wouldn't mind our April showers. We had snow last week. We've had a couple days in like the 40s here in Utah, which is nice. But I really wouldn't mind it warming up. I've started numbers of seeds for our garden, and they're already starting to sprout, which is cool. I'm realizing I need to Google what to do now that they're sprouting. Because I know, like, I think I need to thin them or move them into a bigger pot. This is kind of my first year trying my hand at like a real garden effort. I've ordered a bunch of vegetable seeds, some flower seeds, and never grown from seed before. I always go to the nursery and get like baby plants at the beginning of the season. But we've been re-landscaping our yard, and it's just taken forever, but we're going to be putting in raised beds. It's going to be nice. So. Typical UK weather: rain, snow, and sunny all in the same week. Interestingly, that's typical Utah weather too. Never know what you're going to get. Utah's funny because with the Rocky Mountains, huge, huge, huge mountains all around, you never quite know what you're going to get because the mountains have way different weather than the valleys. So that's where all the skiing happens. That's why Utah can have such good skiing, is because it will always snow up in the mountains where it might be warm down in the valley. But also the weather gets trapped in the mountains. Like, especially pollution gets trapped because the mountains, I mean, we have like the mountains just there. is a 15,000-foot mountain. I think the tallest peak in the White Mountains in New England is like 4,000 feet. So we have huge, huge mountains that just trap everything in, which can be good if it's rain, can be bad if it's pollution. Our air can get pretty bad, just like LA, because we're sort of like Southern California with the suburban sprawl. I totally just pricked my finger. Funny. Yeah, so everybody drives everywhere. There's this like Wild West mentality. People have a ton of kids, so everybody's like in a Subaru, or not a Subaru, Suburban, big old, SUVs to carry all the kids, and which creates pollution, which gets stuck in the mountains, which can affect the weather, can affect our lungs. Then when it rains, it's nice because it tamps all that down. It's an ecology unto itself. But interesting that it can use very similar descriptors as the UK, even though they're very different places. I'm trying to plan a trip. We've been toying with the idea of going to the Cannes Film Festival, Cannes, whatever, in southern France. It happens mid to late May. And we've been toying with going. We still haven't purchased our tickets because it's expensive. We had like flights and tickets to the festival. But we have a number of projects we've been working on that we could take to the market that is in tandem with the festival portion of the film festival. So there's like movies that are being shown, like the Top Gun and, the big whatevers are released there. You can go see those. But then there's this whole market element where people who write and produce film and TV, which is what Spencer and I are trying to do more of. You can go talk to sales agents and distributors and production companies and try and sell your concepts. So we're thinking of going, and this is why I posted on, Jem and I were chatting in the DMs. So I posted a couple weeks back about like, would anybody want to do a Stitch People meetup? Because we're trying to think of like, what if we stopped in the UK on the way over, did some kind of Stitch People meetup, or on the way back. Could be cool. I've also been doing some fundraising just on my personal Instagram. Started over Christmas and it's continued. I've been working with a team of people who are connected to Ukraine, and we've been doing fundraisers for it started as chocolate, like chocolate bars for Christmas, just to send treats to soldiers and civilians in the eastern torn areas. Then one of the suppliers we started working with, who's based in Ukraine, they do like nutrition bars, like protein bars, nutrition bars. So then it turned into another wave of nutrition bars for an orphanage, and we got, I think, 600 bars there. And then our latest round was for battalions on the Eastern Front. Anyway, so I've been working with these various volunteer groups, and another thing we could do is if we're going abroad, it's often cheaper to fly with lots of baggage than it is to ship in the mail anything abroad these days. So I don't know, we might be bringing some duffel bags of tourniquets and medical gear with us to pass off. I don't know if we'd go east, maybe stop in Poland or something for a handoff, or if we could just hand off and, meet somebody in Nice or Paris or something. But some medical supplies are easier to get in the US. So we're talking with some volunteer groups about shipping things just to our house, in inter-United States shipping. That's not too bad. And then we can just pack duffel bags of all the gear and take it over. So I don't know. All that to say, we're trying to toy with planning a trip in May. Not quite sure what it'll look like. Not quite sure if we'll stop in the UK. Not quite sure if we'll go to Cannes at all. Not sure if we'll go east from there. But if we do, especially Gemma there in the UK, we will let you know. Be fun to do something. I always thought it'd be fun to get like a couple different stitching communities, because all the lacrosse stitching communities are niche, are small, which is good. It's cozy. But if we coordinated with like Caterpillar cross stitch or something in the UK and had like a event where we could all get together and meet each other and get introduced to new styles, new communities. Could be fun. Could be fun. Let's see. Gemma says we can get the lightest sprinkling of snow and the whole of UK shuts down. And also if it's too hot, we're not prepared. Yeah, the UK is like, as long as things are temperate, everything's fine. Interestingly, when we lived in LA, that's how it was there too, is like the slightest sprinkle of rain. People don't know how to drive in the rain, and people would just like, that's it, never mind, I'm staying home. If it ever rained in LA. And I remember too, we lived in New York for a summer for Spencer's internship during college, and that was really fun. We lived right in Manhattan in the city, but it was during a huge heat wave, 2012, summer of 2012. And oh man, that city shut down. The electrical grid does not like people using their air conditioning units. That's for sure. Alrighty. Okay. So I'm feeling good about flying through those first 3 rows. For those of you watching, I'm curious if you work like with a pattern like this, like a counted cross stitch pattern, like we do the stitch alongs, instead of a, build your own DIY mix and match stitch people pattern, even those, because some people will make the pattern in full before they stitch it. So when you're working from a set pattern, do you mark off what you've done? I used to do that when I was younger on big patterns, like I might go through and highlight or like, cross off the rows that I've stitched just to keep track. So you need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Skip 2 and do a half. But yeah, ever since I started Stitch People, I don't mark off my patterns as I go. I think it's because they're so like contained, like it's easy, even within a little character, it's easy to see, oh, I've done the pants, I've done the shoes, I've done the shirt, or not. I need the skin tone, I need the hair. So it's a little easier to just see it as opposed to doing a big old, 100 colors, and you got to keep track of all the symbols. 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we skip 2 and we do a half. Skip, do a half. I have found myself, usually with Stitch People portraits, I don't do the quarter stitch for half stitches, just because I don't want things to get too bulky. But with these little stitch along patterns, I do. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we go back the other way. I also know that sometimes people watch me stitch and it drives them crazy because they do their stitches the other way. Like their overs and unders are the opposite of mine. And like gosh, I don't know why I do it this way. I don't know if this is like more typical of a left-handed stitcher or something. I don't know if this is, if more people do their overs and unders the other way. I don't know. All the diagonals got to go both ways eventually. I'm curious for those watching, do your over and under directions match mine, or do they go the opposite direction? And also, part B of that question is, are you right or left-handed? Do you stitch right or left-handed? Because I've heard some people say that, like, oh, Lizzy, you stitch like you're left-handed, but with my right hand. But to be honest with you, I've always done weird, like when you wear a watch, like people will wear their watch on their dominant hand. I never did. Oh gosh, I hated it. I hated having my watch on my right hand. Always wanted my watch on my left hand. I don't know why. So maybe I just like to stitch wrong. I don't know if it's wrong. It can't be wrong. The pattern gets done. How is it wrong? Interestingly, the sip and stitch for the Stitch People Club in May is scheduled at the end of the month when I might be abroad. I was thinking if I was, that might be cool to do something special for that sip and stitch. Like if we're in France, I've always wanted to tour DMC's facilities. I wonder if they'd let me. Or if we're in the UK, maybe work with one of the instructors at the Royal School of Needlework and have like a special class. I'm just brainstorming. These are not guarantees. These are ideas that I've had of like, man, only I could get my hiney over the ocean. All of the things that I would want to do. I'll be honest, there's a part of me that doesn't want to go because I think as wonderful and as exciting it would be, it would make me a little bit sad. I get sad to visit cool places sometimes because then I have to face the reality that there are people who live in those places and I'm not one of them. And then I get a little bit down. Just, you know, mortality and the limits of life, that one cannot, in fact, do it all. That's always been a really, 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 really tough reality for me ever since I was a little kid. And it's not in a like more kind of way. It's not that I want more than I should or am owed or deserve, but I'm just very curious and I get very excited about everything. And the fact that like I have, at best, my longest long-term goal is to live to be 100. So assuming I have 100 years on this planet and assuming like the last 20 are going to be like a little bit slower than the rest. And these are all very generous estimations. And to consider that I'm already in my mid 30s, like, oh, cool. Well, I've only got, let's see, 4 or 5, I've only got 40 more years, which I know is like, that sounds like a lot. But anyway, you can't live decades and become ingratiated in every place in the world, right? You just can't. Oops, wait, where am I? Let's see. Did that one? We're on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Aha, okay, cool. I caught it just in time. So yeah, travel. I love, 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 love to travel. I love it. I love it. I love it. But it does always make me, as much as I love it and as happy as it makes me, my happiness and my grief sit on the same line in my body. Because for me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I feel things very deeply. So feeling big happy means the big happy will go away. And that makes me big sad. So I just make jokes and numb my feelings and cross it and watch TV. Getting to know the inner workings of your friend Lizzy Bean. It's not like in a bum way. It's just like in a, like it is what it is kind of way. I don't mind. I am who I am. We all cope how we can. Okay, I'm officially playing chicken with this floss, and I think I can finish this row. I believe in me. Here we go. I can do it. I can do it. Okay. Hey, Spence.
Hey.
I'm hanging out with Lynn and Amanda and Gemma.
Gemma's on.
And, okay, I did it. I played chicken with my floss.
Did you win?
I won.
Did you
I won.
show that floss?
I showed this floss. Yeah, look how short.
What?
Look at this. I got this much.
That's impressive.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it is.
That's very impressive.
I was just telling them all our brainstorms about, like, we might come to France. We might try and hit the UK before. We might try and hit it after. We might be bringing supplies that need to go to Ukraine after or before.
Right.
Not quite sure what we're going to be doing. And then I just explained to them my existential crisis of travel generally, that I love to do it, but it makes me sad because it reminds me that we don't live there.
Yeah.
Wherever there is.
Well, yeah. Well, and it's extra hard because we've got the dogs.
Yeah.
And so
we can't go for like super, super long.
Well, and it feels like time spent not with the dogs.
Especially as they get older.
Especially as they get older. It just gets harder and harder to stomach. Because every trip I take, I'm like, well, my dog is going to die while I'm gone. So
Because of course.
Because that's what'll happen.
Spencer is a very, very, very compassionate puppy daddy.
Too much so.
No, impossible. It's one of your best qualities.
Can I get you a soda or anything?
A sparkling water.
Do you have a flavor preference?
No, surprise me. Here's the big news. The big news around the Bean household. Our refrigerator died. And so we had to get a new one. Now, that said, we did not have the luxury of like taking our time to like do our research and like get into like, there's some refrigerators with super bells and whistles. We're also pretty constrained budget wise. So Costco for the win. We got a LG from Costco that had super great reviews. It was under $2,000, which was nice. They picked up the old one or hauled it away. And we have a new, I'll take passion fruit. We have a new refrigerator. We used to have a full French door side by side, and now we have the French door upper with the drawer bottom, which is what I've always wanted. And in the French door upper, there's a big wide drawer that we've turned into our sparkling water drawer. You just open it, and there's all these colorful cans. We are on a kick right now of these.
I don't know if this one will ever end.
Yeah, I don't know either.
This one has lasted longer.
Because I just like sparkles. I like carbonation.
Yeah.
And that's part of why I used to drink a lot of like Coke Zero or whatever, because I just like the feeling of it. But that's like cancer water. And so better to just have carbonated regular water that tastes good.
I mean, someday we'll have to look into the effects of like carbonic acid.
Yeah. It better just the carbonic acid than like carbonic acid and aspartame and caramel food coloring number 123 or whatever.
Yeah, that's very good.
Okay. I need to skip 1, 2, 3, 4. For Zahami and do 2 more. Okay, I'm going to catch up on comments. So Gemma says, I photocopy the chart and mark it off unless it's just a person, and then it's fairly easy to see what's been done. Totally agree. Amanda, yes, I also write counts on the art, like just to keep track of where you are. Lynn says, I don't mark off my patterns. Same boat, Lynn, me and you. I have a feeling that if we were thrown into a crisis, you and I would improvise very well together. Just gotta make it work, Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2 more. Okay, cool. Then Gemma says, I do the first over to the right and the second to the left, and I'm a righty. First over to the right. Okay, well, I think we match, Gemma. From what you're saying here, I'll zoom in close. Hopefully it's clear on your end. Where like the bottom diagonals, as far as each square of the Ada fabric is concerned, is bottom left to top right corner is bottom diagonals. And then the top diagonals are the top left, bottom right corner. And I am also a righty. Okay, let's see. Yes, Gemma, even spending a week in a different country. Yep. Yeah, it's always really hard to leave. I'm going to Scotland to visit my brother over Easter. It's so beautiful. Oh my gosh, Scotland. What a gift. My sister lived abroad in the UK for about 4 years. And unfortunately, the first couple years she was there, we couldn't afford to visit her man, when was that? 2015, 16, 17-ish. But we visited 2018, and then again 2019. I went just over, and it's nice to have an excuse when you have a family member who's like, "Oh man, you've got to go visit your brother in Scotland. You have to be a good sister and go do that." darn, you've got to spend time in Scotland. Twist your arm, I'm sure. Okay, there's like a little teeny pull right there, but I think it is long enough that it just tucked into the Vita fabric. Oh, come on. No, is it our, what happened? Well, it might be my tail. What in the world is going on? Something is awry, and I'm going to just undo it because I'm only like 2 half stitches in with this new length, and I'm just not going to fight it. We're just going to pick out, restart the situation because it is mysterious and frustrating. Nobody likes mysterious and frustrating. Okay, before I do, oh, Gemma says, hi, Spencer. Took my son to the dentist today, got a new retainer. He got a real telling off for all the fizzy drinks he could say. It's wearing his enamel away. No! Oh, we don't want that. We don't want that. I don't like knowing that, but I'm glad to know that. Oh, man. Wearing my enamel away. No. Can we have no pleasures in this world?
But like, what good are teeth when you're dead? So
you might as well wear away your enamel.
So you might as well wear them down. I mean,
okay, something is very, very wrong here. What is going on with this loopy floss?
Which mic are you using right now, by the way? Are you using your laptop mic?
No, I'm actually using my phone mic.
Your phone
the mic. Way it worked out, it was echoey AF, and if I muted from my computer but left my phone mic on, because these are called into the same source separately.
Yeah, I see.
You see? You see?
I see.
What is going on, you guys? I'm gonna solve this. There's something about the ends of something or else. Okay. Aha. It was the, okay. It was the ends I had just cut off of the previous floss length with which I was playing chicken. They are pulling through, creating unnecessary knots in this length of floss. Moral of the story is, with my next couple stitches, I need to lock that business down. Okay, back to the comments. I do the one left from bottom right to top. Oh, okay. Gemma says, and teeth can be replaced. That is true. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to keep drinking my fizzy drinks. But I will reiterate to your son, should I ever meet him, that he should back off. Or something. You know, kids have different rules.
I already have 4 fake teeth, so what's a
Spencer grew without some teeth that he was supposed to have.
I got the short end of the genetic pool. Short end of the genetic stick.
But your little childhood photos are so endearing. So many gaps in your mouth.
I had all the childhood teeth. Just the
adult teeth were like, nope.
Adult teeth were like, nah. We're not coming to this party.
No thanks, man. I don't know why I've committed to doing this pattern all in rows. Usually I do in sections that are, because like I'm skipping a lot of gaps for these flowers and whatever. But you know, I've committed and I'm just going to keep on going in rows. Just work my way down. Oh gosh. Okay, about the travel thing though. One other thing is, while we have these big beautiful mountains, and I wish it's kind of a gray day, and it's like white gray. Bright white gray, and the mountains are snowy also. So I think if I turn my camera, you guys wouldn't really be able to see. But just outside my windows, like that big 15,000 foot mountain I was talking about, and the view is great. Nice view. But otherwise, we live in kind of a suburban hellscape. You can't get anywhere without driving. It's like big malls and strip malls and, you know, these big, well, Utah's kind of known for having very wide roads. When the pioneers established the cities here, they specifically established what they call a grid system. So every town has a main street and a center street that intersect. And theoretically, at least in the beginning, that's where like the center of the city was. And then every city has, you go up from Main Street. No, you go up and down from Center Street to north or south. And you go left to right of Main Street for east or west. So like our address is number east, number north. Most people have a number east, number north, south, east, west. And you can kind of navigate maplessly as a result. Get the hang of it. It's not very charming, but it's pragmatic. And that is kind of a great way to describe where we live in general. It is not very charming, but it is pragmatic. We got a Target, we got a Costco, we got a grocery store just like 2 minutes away. But like nothing is, unless you like go up into the mountains, which requires forethought and effort. And you got to drive up the canyon and park your car and take a walk. Like it's not easy to get places here, and the places you need to get to in your day-to-day are just not very charming. And it's not very inspiring. And I'm very, as you can see by like my monkey wallpaper, and I have a rust red rug. Like I love color and atmosphere. And so I thrive in places that are aesthetically, environmentally, energetically inspiring. And so it's hard to live in a place that isn't. And so I get very invigorated, especially abroad, you know, with these old. I mean, Utah was established, well, pioneer style in 1845. So like, as far as the oldest buildings around here are concerned, that's as good as you're going to get. As opposed to like my sister who lived in a flat in the UK that was like 400 years old. So that's just like inherently kind of charming that like there's a lot of history to a place. So New England is always a step up for me. We have family there. And it always feels good to be there. But even then, earliest you're going to get American colony style is 1600s versus freaking London. The walls of Rome, the aqueducts, they're like are all integrated. It's wild. Or Italy or Scotland. Or I follow this great account on Instagram. I'll see if I can find it and post. If you're interested, and I don't post about it, DM me because it'll just be that I forgot. But it's this guy. I think maybe he works at the Edinburgh Castle or something like that. But he's like a tour guide. But he knows all this stuff, and he wears a kilt, and he just goes around Scotland in his like, you know, traditional garb and tells all these really great stories. And this is the headstone of so-and-so, and this is the place where such and such. And oh man, it's just so enchanting. And unfortunately, with like the brutal history of the United States, just coming in and taking what they wanted, we've lost a lot of what would otherwise be our history here. And the people that were killed or relocated or moved out. And so the history that we do have here is young. So anyway, it's just, yeah, I don't get inspired on State Street in Utah, 6 lanes wide. Oh, I was going to say the grid system. Additionally, the streets are very wide because the pioneers wanted to be able to do a full U-turn with like oxen carts. So that's actually really nice. The streets here are really wide. Whenever we go back east, it's like, huh, gotta pull over to pass 2 lanes. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anyway, so yeah, I just get inspired. I love visiting Edinburgh. I went in 2008. I was playing in the jazz band at my university. We did a jazz band tour all around England and Scotland, 3 weeks in the UK. It was amazing. We went all over. And at that time, maybe I still stand by it. I've spent more time in London now, so I'm a little more familiar. But like, as far as my soul is concerned, I felt way more at home in Edinburgh than I did in London. That's a city I could spend a long time in. I really liked Scotland. Visited Aberdeen. I really liked Aberdeen and Dundee. It was beautiful. All these kind of up north, not the most north, but more north. Went to Glasgow. That was nice. Then, of course, we went all around the UK, York, Birmingham, kind of hit the big. Spencer and I then went to the UK again for a quick trip in 2010. That's when we hit Liverpool finally, and all of my childhood dreams came true on the Magical Mystery Tour. A huge Beatles fan. I was John Lennon for Halloween in 3rd grade. And, yep, love him. Love him. Saw Paul McCartney live in 2015? 2016 maybe? And maybe in 2014, he came to Salt Lake City. And it was that thing where I wasn't like crying the whole time. I wasn't like, but like I just watched and it was just like tears just streaming, like the silent, reactive, just like pouring tears. I was so in awe of just like, this is the sound of my childhood. Here he is, right in front of me. That was a cool thing. So I'd love to get back to Liverpool and spend more time in the West. Gemma, remind me where you are. Okay, let's see. Sounds completely foreign to me. We don't have any of those sort of roads. Yeah, I mean, we have like the road in front of our house is 2 comfortable full lanes wide plus a shoulder. So like you could park along, heck, you could park along both sides in both directions and still have comfortable 2-way traffic. So we essentially live on a 4-lane road, and that's just a neighborhood road. But it's like, I wouldn't say they're wide lanes. Like it would be a little tight if it was like all full up of 2 sides of parking and 2 lanes of traffic. It's not a super busy road, thankfully, but yeah, it's the wide roads are nice. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I am indeed gonna switch my direction here and just go down the way. Lynn, thank you for the compliment about my monkey wallpaper. I love it too. We lived in this house. Okay, this house we bought in 2011 while the market was still redonkulously low from the 2008 crash. And we were students still, and we just didn't like the idea of like paying the rent monster. We got married pretty young and so started paying, for a comfortable as we could afford place. And it just said we didn't like renting. So we were able to find this house, which had a full mother-in-law apartment in the basement. So it's about 1,000 square foot upstairs and 1,000 square foot downstairs. And each floor has 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, kind of a living area and kitchen. And my sister and her husband moved in the basement. And it was really, that's why we chose this house, was because it served that need. And then we graduated and then stuck around. We were doing Stitch People and life was kind of like plugging along, but it was kind of stagnant. And we were like, let's have an adventure. Spencer always dreamed of living in California. And it was like, that would be fun. We could be near Disneyland. We love Disneyland. And I could study improv comedy and acting classes, try and get an agent in LA. So we did that in 2017. We had been in the house 6 years, moved to LA for about 1.5 years. Then we went back east for about 5-6 months because we acquired a small business puzzle company up that way. And we were going to pop back to our house here, which we had been renting to family, fix it up and sell it. But then we ended up staying just a little longer than normal than we had planned, because it was just nice to stay put for a minute because we had been on, 1.5 years in California, 6 months living in an RV back east, coming back, had the holidays, and we just were like, let's take a breather. And then COVID happened. So we decided to not move to California in the midst of that. But it took us a while to like move back into this house because we weren't going to move back into this house. We were going to like pause here, fix up what needed to be fixed and sell it like mid 2019 and then we stayed a little longer and it was going to be early 2020. So it wasn't until 2020 that we were like, well, I guess we're here now for a while. And otherwise this room was kind of a grayish, just fine, neutral room, but it really bummed me out to come in here and work. So I got some fun wallpaper and a nice rug so that it would make me happy to come into this room. And it does. And I've put up some shelving, and because like I said, I'm like very environmentally influenced. So if I were just in this like bare sparse room, like it was harder to get work done, as opposed to when I get to walk in here, I'm like, my wallpaper, my colorful rug, all of my frames on the shelves, and I have a little cow stuffed animal over there. I have a handmade puppet. My friends make puppets, and got a little Roland up there, and I got some plants, and it's like, aha, this is a space that I can feel inspired in, and it's a game changer. If you're interested, the wallpaper is Son brand, which is a British company. Very old one too. They did like palace wallpaper back in the day. Very swanky. The wallpaper was expensive. It was, I have it on one wall because of that. It's like at least $100 per roll. So I installed it in a way that I can remove it when I move. You can see like right here, there's a seam. Right here, there's a seam because it's not like pressed and pasted against the wall. It's, I installed a grid of painter's tape on the painted wall. And then on top of that, I installed double-sided tape. And then I put the wallpaper on. So it is stuck on there, but I can remove it when we move and put it in my next office, wherever that may be. We're trying to open ourselves to like, where do we go next? We're hoping that it's one of our TV or film projects that maybe gets picked up when we have to move to Atlanta to be able to produce it, or we move to Canada. If a Canadian network picks it up, that's kind of our first choice, to be honest. It's like moving abroad light. We'd have a totally different experience, but still be in North America, close to family. So yeah, knock knock universe, God's plan, whatever you are, tell us where to go next. Tell us where to go. I think I'm behind on comments. Let's see. It's insane how old some of the places are here. We're very like totally. It's like it's really insane. Like to be able to walk into cathedrals that were built in like the 1200s, 1100s. Like whoa, it's a lot. And Gemma does not enjoy London, too hectic and full. Yeah, I could see that. Especially, it's like this. Even just the summer that Spencer and I lived in New York, we went all around, got very well acquainted with all of Manhattan, and you learn to avoid Times Square pretty quick. You know, that's the big neon lights, and that's the Broadway, and that's kind of the big tourist hub. And when you live there, that's the last thing you want to do is have to go through Times Square. Oh my gosh. If somebody would come visit and be like, let's meet in Times Square. It's like, no, please wear it there. Just for that exact reason. Too hectic, too much. Oh my gosh. I just realized I made a mistake. There were some stitches here that I totally grazed over. Oh, well, we'll fix it when we get there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Just kind of backfilling here. Maybe I should be marking off my pattern. Gemma says, I'm in Surrey, half-hour train from central London. Okay, so that's probably why you don't like London even more, because it's so close that you probably do go in enough for even fun things, but even still, it's like you have to plan all that extra time for the traffic, for the people, for the crowded places, and fun to be close like that, though. It's nice to be of a major metropolitan area, but not in the major metropolitan area. Like we can pop up to Salt Lake in an hour or less on a good day. So if there's like a concert or something cool, then we can go do that. traffic's kind of a bummer, but all right, now I got to pay attention. It's getting complicated here. So we've got a little guy like that. Then I need a half stitch here of the sky behind. Half stitch below. I like the size of these little squares. I'm glad to have chosen something small for this. I think it makes it easier mentally to like, oh yeah, I'll just stitch for an hour or two max and get my little pattern done. It's a fully formed little thing, which I like. I think that little red stitch that I totally missed, the half stitch for the green, that'll be fine. And then I'll just do the red on top of the blue maybe, or do a little seed stitch or something, because it's just supposed to be a blossom anyway. Little bud, rather, is the word I'm looking for. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, and then another half stitch on the way back up. I've been finding myself, speaking of like history, a number of the shows that Spencer and I have been watching are kind of historically oriented, which has been fun. And so that's been on my mind. I mean, we finished a couple months ago The Last Kingdom on Netflix. Their final installment is a feature film that's coming out in April. So we're excited to watch that. But it's totally, not totally fictional, mostly fictional, but it's about the kind of cross section of Vikings, Britons, Saxons in the UK in like the 900s to 1000s, as King Alfred is trying to establish England, the United Kingdoms, essentially. And it's, again, totally like dramatized, fictionalized, but it has some historical, like the people, the names, the vibe. And it's just fun to think of, like, gosh, that wasn't that long ago. Same thing with, we started watching a show called The Great that is pretty saucy, just a heads up if you're interested, but it's Elle Fanning plays Catherine the Great of Russia. It's a fully British cast, lots of famous British actors and actresses, which is fun. And it's about Russia, like Russian history, when Catherine the Great of Austria married Peter, not Peter the Great, that was his father. And, you know, everything that ensues from there, she ultimately, I mean, spoiler alert, a couple hundred years later, she is the reigning queen, czar of Russia, because in Russia, it doesn't pass to, like, if the king dies, then the queen takes over, essentially, instead of the son, until the queen dies, and then it goes to the kids. So that's been interesting. Like, I didn't realize that there was like a full-on coup, because Peter was the worst, and he was killed, and she took over and tried to, like, bring in, like, reading for women and some more of, like, Western values to try and, like, make it less of a dictatorship. And anyway, I guess Russia's been struggling for a while, but it's fun to watch shows with a bit of historical element. We also, another one we watched that I wouldn't call it historical, but it is a true story, is The Deal is what it's called. And it's a series about the making of The Godfather, the movie The Godfather. And it follows the story of the film's primary producer, Paul Ruddy, who is still alive. I think he's in his 90s. And how he was able to like pull off this extraordinary film that I think if you go on IMDb, The Godfather is like the #1 movie of all time. Just for all the reasons. Great storytelling, beautiful shots, great acting. I mean, it's just kind of a gold standard for film. And so that was a cool one, is to watch like how that got made. Again, I'm sure dramatized, but if half of it's true, still pretty interesting. Okay, I got myself into a bit of a lurch here. I'm just trying to fill in 1, 2, 3, 4.5, 1, 2, 3, 4.5. We're still working on Cheers. Lots of seasons to go through there. Been talking about that one for a while. I'm like, oh yeah, Spence and I are working on Cheers. Diane's finally gone, thank goodness. Not a huge Diane fan. Sorry if you are. She drives me crazy. Drove me crazy. We're into the Christy Alley years. Ooh, she's still finding her footing. I can feel this floss. I'm not going to play chicken with it, and I'm going to have to switch it anyway. And I can feel it already being unruly. So we're going to just get rid of it and redo to finish these last few stitches. Weep. But we watched The Last of Us, which has been popular, and absolutely loved it. Really, really great. Kind of a heavy one, apocalyptic, but really well done. And we saw Ted Lasso has a new season we got to watch. Let's see. If we go to Windsor, it's full of tourists. You forget that you live so close to the royal residence and take it for granted. Although we do have a lot of beautiful countryside in Surrey. Yes. The countryside. So nice to just have that so close. That's the other thing about Utah, is because of we've got the mountains on the east, and then pretty much Salt Lake County and Utah County, you've got the Great Salt Lake and then Utah Lake on the west. So there's this very limited amount of land that you can develop. There were some dummies who were trying to propose filling in Utah Lake to be able to build more housing developments. Man, I got non-live YouTubeable words in my head about that. That was so stupid. It got farther than it should have. Yeah, let's kill our land. Cool. We're already in a desert. Let's get rid of the water we do have to make more water-sucking neighborhoods. I can't with people. Nope, just doesn't work. But needless to say, like I said, you could go up to the mountains, go up to the canyons, which is obviously gorgeous. But other than that, we don't have countryside here in Utah. We have desert to the south or mountains. And I love the countryside. Downton Abbey, Gemma says. We started Downton Abbey when it was first on, super popular. And then we loved season 1. Maybe we got to season 2. I'll speak vaguely in case I have a feeling this isn't your first rodeo with it, but we missed a Christmas episode that was integral to the storyline. So we started the season after that, and it was like, wait a second. We thought certain people hated each other, and it turns out they really didn't. And it was so confusing. And it was like, I asked my sister, she's like, oh, you missed the Christmas episode. I'm like, oh man. But then this was, when it was on, so 2012, I don't know. It was harder to find things that you had missed back then. It was like, well, is it on Hulu? Do we have to wait? Like, how do we watch this episode that we missed that apparently has integral information? Because like we knew there had been a Christmas episode, but usually Christmas episodes are like fluff. They don't really, because they're not part of the regular season, so they don't usually move things forward. Anyway, so we got really confused about what to watch and when and where. and kind of never picked it back up again. So maybe that's when I should pick back up. I've been needing shows as we've been doing more pattern development lately. I've been just having shows on in the background. And I've gone through a lot of docuseries. That's kind of what I blathered on about last time I did a stitch along vid on YouTube. Those have been fun. I also admit I've been curious. There are a lot of people I love and respect who really like reality TV. It's never been my thing. Never. So I've watched a few. I've just tried a smattering of reality shows. Still not my thing. Sorry. For those who really like it. I wouldn't say it's my thing, but now that I've watched some, I will say that like I get it more. Especially, and this is the difference. My sister begged me to watch The Bachelor with her. She and her hubs watch it for fun. Apparently it's huge. Bachelor Nation is a whole thing, I guess. And it just does not appeal to me. And if left to my own devices, I probably wouldn't watch it. But this season, for the very first time in my life, I've been watching The Bachelor. And I was at her house last night to watch the penultimate episode. The finale's tonight. We're going to learn who Zach picks. It's a whole thing. And here's the deal. Reality show, if you watch it seriously, it's a little sad for me. It's like a little bit too exploitive and like, yikes. But if you can shift your perspective, at least this is how I cope with reality TV, is like I watch it with like a producer hat on, and I'm thinking about like, oh, you can see where they're pushing certain storylines or motivating certain choices. Like you can kind of, if you are actively trying to peek behind the curtain as it unfolds, watching it for the entertainment that it is, understanding that it is not in fact reality, that like every contestant pretty much has a handler, and every producer will get rewarded if their contestant keeps going. And like, so you have multiple people working behind the scenes to motivate the choices and content of these contestants. And anyway, watching it like that really helps. And that has made it entertaining and less sad to me. I don't know that it's my thing. We'll see if my sister can convince me to watch another season. It's something fun to do together too. Like to get together, we ordered a pizza. It was me and Spencer, my sister and her husband, and we were just watching this silly episode of silly television and leaning into it. You know, the way that I think people who watch like wrestling lean into it, where it's like, you know, it's an act. So when a guy gets really mad and he throws himself on the bands and then he springs onto the other guy and takes him to the ground, and you're like, no, what? He didn't. No, he didn't. Like, you know, it's choreographed, and yet you let yourself kind of go there. So to do that as a group, there's pizza. It was a fun time. Little nephew running around. We had a good night. So reality TV as a group activity, I can wrap my head around. But all this to say, I need a... So Downton Abbey may be it. I was also thinking of picking Grey's Anatomy back up, because that's one that I started back when it was like new and popular, and then, you know, you catch up and you wait for the new season and you kind of forget about it and you forget to watch the seasons, and then it's been 6 years and you're 6 seasons behind. So that's where I'm at with Grey's Anatomy. We'll see. Downton Abbey could be a good one. Period dramas, Gemma, yes. That's me too. I could watch, and I love BBC. Like anything, pretty on, and it's BBC. We watched The Responder recently with John Watson. Spence, what's his name? John Watson. Martin Freeman. The Responder with Martin Freeman is so good. That's a British like police drama. But oh man, I love period dramas. And I love, like, when I was doing a lot of theater pre-COVID, always period stuff. I find it's kind of relates to what I was saying earlier about how I get kind of sad about how short life is and that I don't get to experience everything, that I have to choose, that there are limitations. It's really viscerally frustrating for me. And I think that's why I like acting, because I can experience more. Like, I got to kind of glimpse, a tiny little glimpse. I know it's not the same, but I got to play Jane Eyre in the musical Jane Eyre. And I got to be this character that someone dreamed up in the 1800s. And I got to kind of live in the 1800s for an hour and a half every night for 6 months, every other night. And wear those clothes and those bloomers and that corset and do my hair that way. And I don't know, it just gives you an appreciation for what you got. And you get to kind of test drive being different occupations or living in different time periods. And as far as acting is concerned, oh man, I love the historic stuff. I love the period dramas, any time period. From the, Stranger Things is nailing that 80s vibe. Anything from there back. Anything from there forward just feels like a memory. But yeah, I love period dramas. There was The White Princess. That was another one. That one was more like, I think that was like Tudors. I can't remember the exact. I get the British royal history is a lot for my brain. I have a hard time keeping track. But the White Princess was really, really good as far as historical period series is concerned. And even watching that stuff, it gives you a taste, right? And that's why even like the fictionalized stuff, of course, there's going to be like love triangles and drama, people, enemies and this kind of stuff, because it's TV and it's stories, it's TV or films or miniseries or what have you. So if you're watching something, there's going to be a story that's driving it. But those stories, like read the Odyssey, read Gilgamesh, like fighting battles and winning over our beloveds. Like, these are the stories we've been telling for a very long time. So I love watching them in historical contexts because it just helps you relate, and it helps bring history a little more to the forefront, makes it a little more personal. With lots of the things going on in the world today, like, it's very easy when things are peaceful to say like, oh man, my grandparents were alive in World War II. I wonder, what did they do when they learned about such and such going on across the ocean? How did they react? Why didn't they get involved? For the exact same reason that I have not gotten involved in what's going on in Iraq or Pakistan or Ukraine or whatever. Like, sure, we're raising money and we're trying to do what we can for the issues that resonate with us. But like, people are just living their lives, and it's always been that way. And when you learn about history, and in school, the 1940s was World War II, you forget that, like, well, there was a lot of just like normal life going on for people too. Just trying to cope and like make a living and raise their kids and keep going. I was like, oh, well. And that inevitably means that was true for King Alfred trying to unite England and having a hard time because the farmers just needed to grow food to survive the winter. And so it was hard to rally them behind him to fight. And, like it's just, people have just been people for a really long time, just like me. I love museums for that reason too. When you see, ancient bowls that are engraved just to be pretty, or fabrics. Or I remember, speaking of Edinburgh, we went to Mary King's Close, which is, there was an even older Edinburgh built underneath the existing Edinburgh because the plague broke out and then nobody wanted to move back into what they considered like plague-riddled housing. And so they built like new housing on top of the old city, basically. So if you can get underneath, there's like a whole other city you can tour. And we did kind of a touristy one of those, Mary King's Close. And you go into these apartments, essentially, these houses. You can see the streets, you can see the windows, like it's a city just underneath the city. And one of the rooms I remember specifically had like wallpaper on it or stenciling or something. Like there was decor because some lady lived there and wanted her walls to be prettier, just like me. You know what I mean? And that was in 1500 that we've had the same instincts to want to like beautify our spaces and make things with our hands. I don't know. It's just very inspiring to me. So that's my long tirade, Gemma, about period drums. Ripper Street. Oh, I love Ripper Street. Ripper Street's so good. My family all know I was born in the wrong era. And Gemma says, I'm British and can't understand it all either. Very confusing. All the royal stuff. Yeah, because there's a lot of families vying for power. And then there's like, it goes back and forth a little too much too for me, where it was like, oh, well, this family took over, but then, you know, the true heir, they fought and then took over from them. So it went back to the original people. But then they did an alliance and married together. So then it was like both families, and like, it's too much of that. It's just a lot. I am so grateful that Queen Victoria lived a very long life, because at least there's like this giant Queen Elizabeth. There's this like little muddling of like her father and her uncle who abdicated and their father before him. And then there's this like big Queen Victoria. And then it's like, that takes care of like a really long span just between those 4 or 5. That worked great for me. That gets us pretty far back. And then before then it's like, not sure. Not exactly sure. I think George was before that, which we know thanks to Hamilton. You will be back. Okay. We are getting on to the home stretch here. How cute is this little hummingbird? I wonder what this week's pattern is. I'll pull it up and tell you all. We have Stitch People Files, Stitch People Patterns, Club Patterns, Stitch Along Submissions. Debbie we did, Jamie we did, Candies, this is Candies, right? Yep. Hillary Nestrick is next week. Oh, it's a really pretty geometric pattern. It's really pretty, like a little symmetrical motif, greens and blues. It'll be really, really nice. I think it's fun to see how many people have done, you know, like a little animal versus something geometric and just some colors, or you know, just fun to see what resonates with people. Oh, here's a thought, since a few of you are watching. It occurred to me, some people feel a little sheepish about submitting a design for all to do. That did not occur to me. We've heard that from some, like, I don't know if I should submit. Would it help, do you think, to do like an anonymous submission option? Do you think people would be more inclined to submit if they could just like put in their design and no one has to know it's them? Which is silliness. If you cross stitch, you know how it's like 14 by 14 squares. You can only do so much, first of all. And second of all, there's no wrong way. You can't go wrong. But yeah, I thought occurred to me. I like part of the point of this is like getting to know you. So it hadn't occurred to me to do it anonymously. But if it would help people feel a little more confident to not have to like put their name on it, maybe we do it. Maybe we do that and let the people choose, you know? If they want to be seen and heard, or if they want to, you know, be anonymous, mysterious. Could go either way. Gemma asks, have you seen the Elvis film? I have not. Tell me more, Gemma. Tell me more. Amanda, I have one, just need to fill out the form. You're good. You got time. Even still, I think I've said on a couple different recordings before that like we initially had this deadline to try and motivate people, but we didn't quite get enough to fill the whole year because we started the year with the layouts. Well, we had Christmas vacation, then we did layouts, and then we started. So squares, we have a total of 50 because we started the first square on the third week of the year. So we need a total of 50 squares. And I have a bunch of ideas for like if we need filler ones of like do your initial and here's a little background pattern and here's an alphabet and like do your initial in the middle or stitch your favorite colors in stripes or, you know, like just different. We could do fillers, but we've kind of opened submissions back up again. We have a total of 14, 15, 16. We have 31. So we still need 20 more, 19 more. So you got time. They trickle in here and there. Oh, Gemma, you are not a pest. You are silly. It's fun to have you here. I appreciate when people are on these lives because then I don't have to just talk to nothing. And yeah, it's nice. I really appreciate all of you being here. It's fun to have you in the chat. I don't think you're a pest. If you think you're a pest, that's something you can talk to your therapist and God about. But for me, I'm glad you're here. Okay. Can we submit more than one? I have 2 other designs in mind. Sure. You know what we could do, Gemma, is if you want to submit whatever, all your designs you want, we could put them all together as like, these are Gemma's designs, pick your favorite. That could be really, really fun just to see which ones people are drawn to do from the ones you do. Then if we need fillers, it could be like, go back to week whatever for Gemma's, you know, and do another one that she did. We haven't, Danielle did, hers is coming up, I think, maybe. Danielle did a cute, hopefully it'll be a few weeks before it comes around so you forget, but she did a flamingo and one has like palm trees coming in the sides and one doesn't. And she was like, which do you like? I was like, oh, just do both. And then people can choose, you know, if they'd rather have kind of a more plain background, just the sky, or if they want to put some green in there. So that would be really fun. So feel free, yes, to submit more than one. We can bundle them together as like Gemma's Wonderland of Squares. And then if we need more, well, then thank goodness for Gemma's Wonderland of Squares. You know what I mean? I dig it. So Elvis is officially amazing. You can see why he was nominated for an Oscar. And I'm in love with Austin Butler. Well, now I'm going to have to quick Google Austin Butler and see who to be in love with. Austin Butler. Are we in love with you, Austin Butler? Oh, he's cute. Yeah, he's a little Elvis-y, isn't he? That's a good choice. He's got like those Elvis-y pouty lips. That's a very good choice. I've seen a few clips here and there, and all the reviews, of course. Did he win an Oscar? Or he's nominated, I guess. Yeah, there were a lot of biopics. They did the this year or last year that Rocket Man about Elton John. You know which one changed my life was the Bohemian Rhapsody with Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury. Oh man, I don't usually rewatch movies because there's so many movies to watch that it's like, why rewatch them? I've probably watched Bohemian Rhapsody 4 times. It's speaks to me in my soul. In my soul. Great storytelling, beautifully written, beautifully shot. I love those kinds of movies. So I'll have to check out Elvis because, yeah, I like those. I like a biopic. For a while there, I had a dream of writing. I hear they're very particular with her story, like her estate, but I had a dream of writing a Janis Joplin biopic. Like someday I'll write a Janis Joplin biopic and I'll star in it. The older I get, the less likely it becomes, though. She passed when she was 27. I can do a pretty mean impression. And that's for Bohemian Rhapsody anyway. I don't know how they did it with Elvis. I'll be curious. But all of the singing that you hear for Queen with Freddie Mercury is like a composite of actual recordings of Freddie Mercury and mixed with who sings with Queen now? Shoot, his name is Adam. He was on American Idol. Adam Lambert. I was going to say Levine. The L was there. Adam Lambert. When Queen goes on tour these days, Adam Lambert is the one who sings because he can get a very similar quality of sound. And then they also mixed in Rami Malek's actual voice so that it would look more natural, all coming from his face, which is different enough from Freddie Mercury. So they can do some pretty cool technology with these biopics these days. I'm interested to see, I don't know if any of y'all have heard about the Indiana Jones. There's a new Indiana Jones coming out with Harrison Ford. And they have used like intensely cool CGI, AI, something technology. They have enough footage from the first 3 Indiana Joneses that combined with like, put him in a suit and have him move around. I guess there's flashbacks or something. And he looks like I've seen some clips. The way they're able to reproduce a young Harrison Ford is spooky. Absolutely spooky. Cool spooky as far as like the movies are concerned. Very spooky as far as like life is concerned. The implications of that kind of technology and being able to reproduce things at such, if you think about politicians are filmed everywhere they go, how easy it would be to just like get some footage and make a video of a politician doing something terrible to completely discredit them that they never ever did. But there's video evidence. Like, it's getting scary for sure. But as far as Harrison Ford is concerned, I'm into it. It's pretty cool technology. There's Spencer, we were talking last night. He read that Keanu Reeves, since like the 90s, maybe early 2000s, puts in his contracts that you can't digitally alter his performance. Like, I guess it happened once where like a tear was added in post-production and he was like, oh, hell no. Oh, shoot, what the heck did I just do? I just went the opposite direction in this one stitch. Silly Lizzy. Tricks are for kids. But yeah, he was like, no, you don't get to add a tear when there wasn't one. And so he puts it in his contracts that No, ma'am. No, sir. Which I think is cool. Actors got to be on top of that stuff these days. Oh, Brendan Fraser won. His voice sounds like Elvis. And then, yeah, Brendan Fraser has gotten a lot of attention for this movie he did. I guess he was off the radar for a long while. And this is kind of a comeback for him. And he was extraordinary in this movie. We haven't seen it yet. But I'm curious to see it because of just all the buzz around it. Brendan Fraser, he was such a heartthrob back in the day. The Mummy, George of the Jungle, Encino Man. With Elvis, I think she says, I don't think Austin Butler sang all the songs. I would imagine with Elvis, the key is really in the movement, in the, in the looks and the lip and the hips. Mannerisms is the word I'm looking for. I think it would be such an honor to do a biopic like that, portray somebody who is known and beloved. Just pay homage to a legacy. Again, there it is with like the historical stories, true stories. I love sci-fi, I love fantasy, don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of the best stories have already been told. And it's just a matter of sharing them, packaging them in a way that's easy for us to share. It's important to remember how unifying stories are too. Again, like we've been telling stories with similar themes for centuries. So many beloved stories are, classic authors are classic authors for a reason, because it still resonates. People still learn from Ebenezer Scrooge every Christmas, and they have been since 1843. That's pretty cool. So clearly people weren't all that different in 1843 to feel uplifted by something that still uplifts us today. So it's important to keep writing. That's one of the bigger AI things. I have a friend who's a professional writer, and the implications of the AI scripts is pretty scary. We will lose our humanity if we're not careful. And it's a hard balance, because AI regurgitates from the internet. It regurgitates, redistributes, and composites from the internet. So it's like it's taking human generated stuff and making new stuff from it. So it's easy to be like, oh no, it's taking from things humans have made. So we're not losing our humanity. But AI doesn't have an imagination. AI doesn't get to go, what if, So it's important to preserve that kind of stuff, in my humble opinion. Okay, I can feel that like itch of like I'm seeing my pattern is so close to being done, and yet I have all these little centers and French knots. So I'm like like racing to the finish line a little bit. I can feel myself getting, I don't know if the word is excited, anticipatory.
I was just gonna ask if I should like make some food.
It's lunchtime.
Close to being finished.
I'm probably another 20 minutes.
All right.
Because French knots.
French knots.
The viewers know. They get it.
How do you feel about the coconut curry thing, the
Costco coconut curry?
Or whatever that one is.
Let's do it. That sounds great.
Cool.
Thanks, Spence.
Holler when you're like
holla
10 minutes out.
All right. That's so nice. Spencer being for the win, ladies and gents. Hi, Gemma's daughter. Keanu Reeves and an awesome accent. Loved Encino Man is really fun. And it's Sean Astin too. Sean Astin and what's his face? Like the what's his name? And he like the Californian talk guy who was in all those 90s movies. He was the voice of the Leaning Tower of Pisa in the Goofy movie. Oh yeah, I need to figure out what to do down here. Okay, so this was supposed to be its own stitch. I'm just going to do like a little seed stitch to make a little bud here. Yeah, that's cute. Okay. Red is done. Yeah, Encino Man cast is excellent. For those who don't know, the classic 90s story of mix-ups and mayhem that is Encino Man. I believe it is Sean Astin's family is building a pool in the backyard, and they discover a frozen solid caveman, and they thaw him out. It's Brendan Fraser. Apparently his castability was like Tarzan types. So they thaw out this caveman that they find in the pool pit that's being dug, and he comes alive. And then it's just like the antics of a caveman going to high school in the 90s and like learning what 90s technology is, or maybe it's 80s. I don't know. I think it's early 90s. I think it was like 92 or something. And like, of course, he's like the mysterious new guy. And so the girls are all like, who's that guy? And they have to go to like the school dance, of course, and they have to help him with his homework. And he, they dress him in regular clothes, and he's just, a grunting caveman who then learns to assimilate and become one of the 90s people. And then I think also like, I think there's like a lab involved that's like after him because he's a, miracle of science. But then Sean Astin and what's his face, who did Goofy movie, everybody's like, no, he's our friend. You can't have him. It's really quality stuff. It's a great, and it all takes place in Encino, California. Encino Man. And thanks to streaming, the variety of plot lines we have access to these days are a lot better. Yeah. That sounds good. The kids will love this plot. Caveman goes to high school. Green light it. Let's make it. Let's get Sean Astin. Oh boy. What a time for cinema. Because that's also the time that was Ferris Bueller and Breakfast Club, and that was a really good time for filmmaking. Back to the Futures, Indiana Joneses, Star Warses were happening. Okay, I'm going to use 2 threads for the green straight stitching. Keep on cruising. Okay, here we go. I watched Encino Man actually for the first time just a couple years ago. It was like 2019. I was staying with Jen, who some of you may remember from Stitch People. Did a Stitch People podcast with her. She worked with us in Stitch People for a while when we were super, super busy because of COVID and all that. And we've been friends for a long time. And I was staying with her because that was in the period where we were like living in Utah again, but I was still doing improv classes in LA. So I was staying with her for a few weeks, and she was like, Lizzy, you haven't seen Encino Man? I was like, Jen, I grew up in upstate New York. Like, no, I didn't. Like, it wasn't culturally relevant. And so we watched Encino Man. So that's why it's relatively fresh in my memory, because it was but a few years ago. And I would recommend it. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 would recommend for precisely what it is. Like, you just lower your expectations, hit play, and have an evening of vapid entertainment. With heart, though. That's one thing 80s and 90s movies did really well, is like there's always a little tearjerker moment, making you feel some things. If I started this pattern again, rather, if I could rewind to 60 seconds ago, I probably wouldn't do straight stitches in each square. I'd just do big long ones. But I'm in it now, and I don't feel like picking them out. Well, except I have to do them little down here, so maybe it's not such a crazy thing. At least it'll be consistent. The little leaf. Gotta come up here to the tippy top of the flower. It's these little, I'm so impressed with what people can pack into these designs. But like, you know, I had 2 little stitches of the hummingbird breast, and then I'll have to go back in with the black and do 2 little stitches for the centers, and then go over that with yellow. You know, it's just like tiny, tiny, tiny details. But that's also what makes it so nice. It's like the Stitch People portraits. You can fit a lot more than you think in a teeny tiny itty bitty space. Little pieces of jewelry, little logos. Yeah, Gemma says it's just a very fun film, very nostalgic. Totally. I love that era of film. Honestly, one of my favorite movies of all time is Ferris Bueller. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It is, even just thinking about it makes me laugh. The concept, the timing, the characters. Spencer's been watching Succession, which is a popular series right now. And the guy who plays Cameron in Ferris Bueller's Day Off plays one of the kids in the family that the show is about. And he's excellent. He's really, really good. But it's really hard for me to watch it and like not think of let my Cameron go. Just so funny. Oh, oops, I have a little loopy that I did not catch. We'll just tie it up here so it stays out of the way. Bounce, bounce. Do, do, do. Good stuff, I tells you. Good stuff. Oh, good. I have a tiny little piece of black I can use for the beak. I know I won't want to use it for... I might need a little more weight in the eye. Centers of these flowers definitely need 3. I'm just going to pre-secure my floss because I only have 2 little cross stitches, so I don't want to lose the tail here. Pull it through. I've been speaking of historical dramas and whatnot, period pieces. I've been listening more to, since I need a new show to watch on the background, I've been listening to more music because I don't have a show on in the background. And I've been listening to a lot of movie soundtracks, which has been really, really fun. And there's this great like heyday of movies. I keep feeling really nostalgic about the Amelie soundtrack, Finding Neverland, the 2005 Pride and Prejudice. There's a whole bunch in and around there. I want to say, what else has been cropping up? Gosh, anything by Thomas Newman, James Newton Howard. Oh, The Village. Oh my gosh, The Village soundtrack. Are you kidding me? Regardless of what you thought about that movie, and I'm one who really loved that movie. Man, what a soundtrack. That violin. Oh, man. Ooh. Oh, the Fall series set in Ireland about a serial killer. Gemma, I started The Fall. It's got what's her face and what's his face? Jamie Dornan and oh, her name is on the tip of my tongue. I love her. I can see her face. She's from X-Files. Gillian Anderson. Thank you, Spencer. She's the detective. We watched the first season. Maybe there's, I think there's 3 or 4 seasons. We definitely watched 1, maybe 2, but I know there's more to be watched. And I honestly forgot about it until just now. Jamie Dornan. Yeah. It's a whole vibe, that one. It's kind of spooky, if I recall. Oh, I need to do, oh no, yellow French knots. Oh, but I also need to do, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. I need to do a French knot for the eye. Yeah, I love Gillian Anderson. She was great in The Crown as Prime Minister. Okay. A little Frenchy knot. Oh, good. Nice and round. And we'll do that again. Cut those down short. It's funny. The backs always like start pretty clean. It's all downhill. Got my little pile of trash here. Okay, the centers of the flowers. I think I'll do 2 threads. Seeing how 2 threads looks for the eye, I like the way that looks. And then that'll be it, folks. And then I'm off to lunch with Spencer in the kitchen. What's next for everybody here tonight? I guess it's getting to be late for Gemma in the UK. Evening time. Margaret Thatcher, yes. Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher is who Gillian Anderson plays in The Crown. She's excellent. I think she kind of nails it, to be honest. As far as recreating people who were real is concerned. That's kind of been a theme today, hasn't it? I guess that's kind of the nature of the thing with like historical dramas and period dramas. Okay, I need to give myself a little tension so I can come right on up through the center. There we go. Right through the center of the black. Oh, hi, JM. The drama I recommend is The Woman King with Viola Davis. Oh, yes. I heard excellent, excellent things about that. It's on our list for sure. Viola Davis is an international treasure. She is, honestly, I would die on this hill. I think she's one of the best actors of our time. Hands down. Yep. Period. Full statement. Viola Davis for the win. Gonna get Macy ready for bed. No coconut curry for me. It's bedtime. Do you have Costco in the UK? I feel like you do. I feel like my sister lived near a Costco. I know you got Tesco. Love a Tesco. I like these yellow centers, and I'm going to add them. I'm going to add more because I like them. What would it look like if I just did like a little straight stitch kind of where this red, yeah, just like a little hint of yellow poking through there. Just want to see more of this yellow because it's so happy. Yeah. There we go. Why the heck not? Okay, I think that's it, folks. I think we did this week's Stitch Along and had a really great time hanging out to boot. Bam. There we have it. From pattern to, there we go. From pattern to production. I wanted a P word there. From paper to pattern. From paper to pattern to portrait. I don't know. To piece. To the finished piece. Anyway, that's it for me today. Thank you so much for hanging out. And pardon my hiccup. Thanks for everybody who watched. It's always a pleasure to be here with you. And we'll load this up for watching later. If you're watching later, thanks for making it to the end. And keep an eye on Instagram. It would make sense for me to do these little Stitch Along YouTube lives at the same time every week. So it was really, you could count on it. But it makes me want to do it less to have to commit to the same time every week, especially because not everybody's available at the same time every week. So we're going to keep it loose. Some weeks I can't fit one in. Some weeks I can. And, you know, there's always going to be a recording and I'll always post about it, at least with some notice that it's going. So if you keep notifications on YouTube, it'll let you know that like, oh, it's Stitch People's Live, if you're interested. But yeah, thanks for being here. It's always a pleasure. And I hope, oh, Gemma, thank you. She says, enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you do too. And until next time, ta-ta for now. Bye, friends.